You did your makeup an hour ago, it was perfectly fine, and now the makeup on your nose is separating and falling off like this. Keep watching, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do to fix it. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Saj. I'm a pro makeup artist in film and television, and the nose can be tricky sometimes. When I'm touching up my actors, the nose is always the first place that I check to make sure that everything is okay. However, the makeup on your nose shouldn't be falling apart like this, so I'm going to explain to you why this is happening in your makeup routine so that you can better understand how you need to make adjustments to fix it. First and foremost, let's acknowledge that the nose is the president of the T-zone. The nose tends to be the most textured area on our face. That's where we've got all of our pores, the pore congestion, the sebaceous filaments, and even the oil that's on our nose. It's different than the rest of our face. It tends to be thicker in consistency. And if you're on the drier side, then your nose is very textured and you tend to get really flaky around that area. So the first steps that you want to keep in mind is prepping your nose correctly. You already know what I'm going to say. Wash your face, wash your nose, get the extra layer of oil off, because it's going to interfere with the adherence of what you're now going to apply to your skin. Then you're definitely going to want to make sure that you have a really good exfoliating product that you're working into your everyday skincare routine. I haven't mentioned exfoliating much in referencing work that I'm doing on set because we're working too long hours, so there's a risk for more irritation on set. So these are just some examples that I grabbed. It doesn't necessarily have to be a liquid. It can also be in a serum formula. Also, if you're not doing this, this is a time to start removing your cleanser with a washcloth or a biodegradable face cloth, especially if you have a drier skin texture. Because we know that we're going to alternate our chemical exfoliants, the ones that I just showed, we're not going to use those every single day. Using a washcloth daily is actually going to gently exfoliate. Sometimes when I'm removing my cleanser and I take it off with my washcloth, I actually see pore congestion slide right out because of the texture of the washcloth. So this is definitely something to start incorporating in your everyday skincare routine. That we've covered skin prep, let's get into the makeup of it all. Our first instinct when we see something like this happen with our makeup routine is that, oh, well, I need more. I need to apply more product, I need to apply more primer, I need to apply more setting spray, I need to apply more layers, and that is quite literally the opposite of what you should be doing. Tutorials that we're seeing right now are something like this, like putting on primer, setting the primer, you're possibly powdering before you even put the primer on, then you're putting on like concealer products because we're sculpting with that, then we have to set those, then we have to put a setting spray to lock that in, then we have to now put in our actual base product, the foundation that we're using, then we have to spray a setting spray on that and mix it into the formula. Before we set it, then we set it, then we use 4 different powders to do sculpting and bronzing, and all of this is happening just on this little nose, and you're creating a cemented layer of product on your nose, and you're not keeping this important fact in mind. Your nose has movement. It has movement with the design of our nose, the slope, the curve of our nostril, all of that is movement. Then you have actual physical movement in your nose. Your nose is connected to your lip, to your muscles. So when you're speaking, when you're breathing, your nose is moving. And what that is going to do is cause the cement layer of product that you have placed over your contours of your nose. It's going to cause movement in that, and then that is going to make it crack, and that's why it falls off in chunks off of your nose. Working in lighter layers generally is going to be of benefit to you, but even more so on your nose. The reason why is the lighter layers are able to sit in all of the nooks and crannies of our nose. It's going to sit, it's going to smooth the ingredients in your foundation formula. Most of them tend to be self-setting now, so they will sit well and they will rest well in your nose. The second benefit to having thinner layers of product is that if there is in fact a smudge, because your layers are thin and well blended into your skin, because your color matching is also good, right? You're not going to notice any visible difference between skin and your product. Now, the solution to this is really working in lighter layers and making sure that each layer is properly blended into the skin and not just sitting on the surface of your skin. You may get away with that on the rest of your face, but on your nose is quite literally a cliff. Things are going to start falling off. And I'm going to show you a visual of what I mean. I'm going to take this tape, and this tape is going to represent your thicker and locked in layers. And by locked in, I mean all of your primer layers and your powders and your concealer and foundation layers. So this is our representation here. Look at how smooth and beautiful it looks. But now someone has annoyed you and your nose is going to start flaring, and then you also need to have your salad for lunch. So we're having all of this movement happening, and you can see the rippling and the buckling happening over our tape layer. Yes, this is an extreme visual, but I promise you it's the same thing that's happening on your face. Now, with the constant movement that is going to be happening, eventually it's going to start lifting from underneath, and then it's going to fall completely off, and then you get this huge area of demarcation, a very obvious difference in skin texture. And if you look at my hand and if you look at this nose, you can see this is exactly what is happening here. So now if you do the thinner layers of product, I'm going to take the same thing and blend it out, buff it into the skin as I would in any makeup routine. And you can see, okay, so it's blended, it's sitting well on the skin. Even if I took my finger, we know the foundation is here, and I wiped it completely off. We know that there's foundation missing. It's right here on my finger. We know that there's foundation missing. However, the formula of the foundation was actually able to connect with the skin and activate its own self-setting properties. So you don't have a huge area of differentiation between where some of your product may be missing. And as always, I hope this helps.